My farm has a $4 million problem. A $4 million water problem. Today, I'm going to start fixing this problem. I have been farming since I was a little boy. Every year, we have been trying to do new things to increase the profitability of our farm. We have been trying everything. Extra fertilizer, removing compaction. You name it, we probably have tried it. Out of everything we have tried, nothing compares to removing excess water from the soil. This last year, excess water in my fields stole over $300,000 of profits from my family's farm. The fields on my farm are like a flower pot. What happens if you give a flower too much water? It dies. My fields are the exact same way. So how do we fix this problem? To illustrate, I will use this flower pot. See this hole that is at the bottom of the flower pot? This is the solution to our problem: drainage. If we fill the flower pot with water, what happens? The excess water gets drained out, damp soil remains, and the flower flourishes. So how in the world do we put a hole in the bottom of our fields? We don't. We use drain tile. This is drain tile. See all these little holes? They are called perforations, and they let in water. This is how drain tile works. We bury it about 3 feet underground, and then we run one end to a creek. The perforations in the drain tile allow excess underground water into the pipe, and then the pipe carries the water to the creek. So now, just like how the hole in the flower pot drains excess water away, the drain tile is going to do the same thing. In an effort to correct our water problem as fast as possible, I contacted a drainage tile contractor, and he informed me that it was going to cost $4 million to put drainage tile on my entire farm. This is where my $4 million farm problem comes into play. After getting slapped with this news, I did what any logical person would do. I looked into the DIY method and purchased a 60,000-pound, 600-horsepower tractor and a brand new tile plow to install over 400 miles of drainage tile. I don't know how to design a pattern tile system, and I don't know how to install tile. To get my tile design, I contacted a company called FlowX and sent them my field coordinates, and they designed an entire pattern tile system for me and gave me a comprehensive list of materials that I would need. So after spending about 3 minutes doing that, I now have one problem. I don't know how to install pattern tile. As the famous Ronnie Coleman used to say,
ain't nothing to it but to do it.
So today I've got Ryan and Mike from the Tile Plow Company and Pete and Garrett from Youngblood Ag to help Cooper, Zach, and I learn how to run all the software and learn how to lay drainage tile. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Today I am starting to fix my farm's $4 million problem.
First things first, the tile plow is brand new, and all the software that connects everything all together is also all brand new. So the first thing that we need to do is get everything calibrated. All right, Pete, this sounds a little embarrassing, but I don't know how to drive this tractor.
That's all right. We can do that. We can show you that.
Okay,
cool.
Pete, so what do we have here? This thing is an absolute gargantuan. We got a flat screen TV in here.
That is the new InCommand Go 16, and that has been out since last November, and we've now added new features, made some changes to it, and we can actually now do tiling with it. So we're going to use the water management piece today and put some pipe in the ground.
So click on this one.
Yep, that one right there.
Water management.
And it shows our config with our plow and tractor, so we can continue.
Blue arrow.
And then there's our farm. It's already picked it because our boundary's in.
Okay.
And region 1 is fine.
Okay, now seriously, I've never even moved this tractor, so.
This one's simple.
You got a clutch?
Clutch. Pull your lever up on it.
This one?
Yep. Slide sideways to the left, then forward. Then you'll have to, yep, that's in forward. Shift up, shift down. So we're gonna have to calibrate this thing.
Okay.
So we will do basically a dry run.
Does it make more sense to have you in this seat, or do I need to be in here to learn how to do all this?
I can go through and do the cal and...
How do I put this thing back in park?
Same thing, just opposite. Bingo.
After doing my little drive across the field, I think it is important before we get started that we establish some terminology. This big old monitor inside of the cab is the Ag Leader Go 16. It will be referred to as the 16 or the monitor or the Ag Leader, any of those three things we're associating with this big old honker. This big black stealth looking hook shank thing is the tile plow. This is what will actually be inserting the perforated pipes underground. On the front of the tile plow, we have this big piece of metal. This is called the toe or the point. And then at the back of the plow, above me, we have this little wheel. That is the power feeder, and the power feeder will feed tile into the top of this thing, and this thing, which curves around at the bottom, is called the boot. And so the tile will actually get dispersed out of the bottom of this and then be put in place underground. On the front of the tile plow, we have the tractor that's going to be pulling it, and we're going to be calling this the Challenger. Up on top of the Challenger, we have a GPS globe, or I should say GPS globe number 1. Up on the top of the tile plow, we have GPS globe number 2. And then over here on the edge of the field, on top of this tripod attached to a car battery, we have a GPS globe number 3. I'm pretty sure the official name for this one is the base station. Another thing we may refer to is a roll or a maxi. Behind me are rolls of tile, and these are the maxi versions. These are the big ones. This one has 3,600 feet of 4-inch on it, and this one has 850 feet of 8-inch. They call the big ones the maxis because over here we have the little ones, or the minis. If you look on the ground beside me, you can see there is some dirt that is already worked up. These are called our scribe marks. Yesterday, my brother came in with a tool we call the shankster, which is a shank that's about this long, and he drove all of the lines where our tile is going to be located. So these are more or less our pencil marks on the ground for where our tile is going to be located. So that way we know where we need to put pipe, where we need to dig holes, and then also where we actually need to be installing the tile. If you hear us talking about spacing, we are referring to the distance between one tile line all the way to another. For this whole first field that we will be doing, everything is 40-foot spacings. Over here we have the mini excavator, and over here we have the skid loader. The mini excavator is going to be doing all of the digging, and the skid loader is going to be filling in all of the holes. Speaking of holes, I am standing in a start hole. Every single scribe line that you see through the field will start with one of these. We're trying to get the Challenger calibrated right now, so we actually just dug this mock start hole to set the plow in and just get everything set up. And while digging it, we actually discovered something that's about 70 years old. So drainage tile is called tile because back in the day, they actually made it out of clay tiles. And this is a old clay tile. So this thing was installed probably about 70 years ago, and this is how they originally started draining fields. We don't use clay anymore, we use plastic, but the name tile just stuck along with it. Before we start tiling, I want you to remember a few things. Number 1, water always runs downhill. Number 2, streams run into rivers, and then rivers ultimately run into oceans. Stream, river, ocean is an important analogy because out in the fields, we're gonna have all the high areas of our fields that run downhill. These are our lateral lines, or in other words, our streams, and these are gonna run to all of the dips of the field. Inside the dip of the field, or the river of the field, we are going to have our main lines, and then our main lines run all the way to the lowest point of the field, which is our outlet, or the ocean. And the field that we are starting digging in. This creek is going to be the outlet, so when we get the outlet dug in later, we'll have a pipe sticking out of the side of the bank, and it will just dump its water right into the little stream. When you hear us talking about 4-inch, 6-inch, 8-inch tile, what we're talking about is the diameter of the pipe. 4-inch is going to be the laterals. We'll have some mains at 6, and we'll have some mains at 8. Every time you go up a size, you double the capacity of the pipe. We're going to be installing 2 different types of pipe today, perf and non-perf, or perforated and non-perforated. Perf pipe has little holes in it, and non-perf has no holes. Right here we have a main line, and then we have a lateral coming into it. Where these intersect is what we call a T. Whenever we take 2 pipes and we connect them together, that is called a connection.
Another common terminology in the water management world is drainage coefficient. A drainage coefficient is the amount of water per day that the water management system will be able to remove from the farm. So in the case of the field we are doing right now, our system has a drainage coefficient of 0.7 inches. So that means we will be able to remove 0.7 inches of water per day from our field, or in gallon terms, it will be able to remove 17,500 gallons of water per acre per day. And by the way, a 7/10 drainage coefficient is a lot. A lot of systems are designed for 3/8 of an inch, where this one is almost double that.
I think we've now gone over most of the basics. There are going to be a few more basic terminologies that we will get to once we actually start installing some tile, but I think they're just now getting wrapped up with all the calibration stuff. So I think we're ready.
How'd calibrating go, Pete?
Calibrating went smooth. We did one pass down and calibrated, came back, checked that cal, and everything's dialed in and ready to go. And this tractor, it doesn't know that plow's there, so it's gonna make pulling really easy.
Before we can start dragging in any tile, the first thing we need to start with is our connection into the ocean, or our outlet spot into the stream. I think that's about a lot. Start hole is now dug, Pete.
It is dug, so let's go ahead and I'll show you how to get a survey.
I also forgot to mention there's another terminology called a survey run. So what a survey run is, we take the tractor and we drive over the scribe lines, and the computers inside of the tractor with all the GPS globes are doing their thing and tracking elevations. So that way it will tell us if water will be able to flow downhill through that pipe route. So we have to do a survey first for the computers to say it's okay for us to pull in the pipe. Once we get the survey done, then we start pulling. We're working in some really nice, rich black soil today. It's basically that black, about 10 feet deep, so this should be some really nice pulling for us. We now have all of the calibration stuff done. We have all of the survey stuff done, or at least for the first run, and I've had a little bit of training. So we now need to pop the 4-inch boot off that we did for the calibration stuff and put the 8 one on, so that way we can start pulling some 8-inch mains. Cooper, Zach, and Garrett are getting the boot pulled off, and then on the other side of the machine we have both Mike right here and we have Ryan up there. This cylinder had a leaky seal on it, so they went and stole a cylinder off of another tile plow and they're putting it on this one, so that way we don't have a nice little drip to deal with. So they're getting that one pulled off right now, and I guess I'm just kind of walking around and observing. I'm learning. This 8-inch boot that we're throwing on is an absolute bearcat, so we're doing a little bit of cheating and just gonna use the mini excavator. Wow. Careful! You okay? What'd you do that for?
Now these are wavy.
Oh, yeah,
Sometimes that might not watch your fingers.
On top of changing the boot, we also have to change the toe. Vamonos, here we go. We're gonna try to back the plow into here, then we're gonna get the 8-inch pipe into it, and then we're gonna start pulling. Oh, this tractor is ginormous. Backing up, tile plow. Doing a good job keeping it straight. Okay, we're gonna try not to flip this tile plow into the creek. The pipe that Cooper and Zach are carrying right now is going to be the outlet pipe. This is a dual wall pipe, so it's stronger, and it's what's gonna hang out over the water, and all of the water from the main will be discharging out of that. We're easing the plow forward right now, just getting her ready to be started, so that way we have room to be able to actually get our pipe up inside of here without falling into the creek. Creeping forward. That's kind of satisfying to watch. Holy cow. This is gonna be the first tile we're laying. This is an 8-inch. You can see all the little perforations inside of there. We got this one and gotta have it green. We have 850 feet on this roll. The first run that we're gonna be doing is a little over 1,200 feet. So we're gonna use all of this one, and then we're gonna have to splice in another. Hey, look at that. We are now ready to start pulling. We are going to be pulling the spool with the truck, and we're just going to keep the spool kind of beside us as we're going. And then these guys are going to be feeding in. With this big 8-inch one, apparently it's easier to do it this way than to have it try to go through the power feeder. We just pulled in our first 850 feet, so our spool is now completely empty, and Cooper is bringing up the second spool, and then we'll put a connection on this, and then we will keep doing the same thing with the truck driving beside us, and we will drive all the way up there, right to that little grass strip, and then that's the end of our main line. Just like that, we are back to tiling. You can see that the splice is just going through. I am hand driving these main lines. So our scribe line was over there, but it had an unnecessary squiggle in it. So I'm just driving it straight, or as Pete would say, I'm being smarter than the computer.
That's right. Still gotta have a little old school.
As we are installing this tile, I want to bring up a couple of concerns that I had a few years ago when we were looking at getting into tiling our ground. The first one was I was concerned we were going to dry our soils out too much. And then the second one was I was concerned we were going to be flooding everybody downstream of us. To illustrate why these things are not the case, we are going to use this sponge. Before we get into our sponge example, it's important that we understand how water can work its way from down low to high within the soil. And we are going to use this blue paper towel and a dog bowl for this example. So what I'm going to do is just lower the paper towel into the water. And if we look at the paper towel, we can see how the water is climbing the paper towel right now, even though it's not in the water. This wicking action of the water going upward is called a capillary action, and the soil works the exact same way. We just had this in the water, and as I shake it around, no water is falling off of it, but yet when I squeeze it, I can squeeze water out of it. The soil works the exact same way. Except when it comes to our soil, instead of having the water capacity of a paper towel, we have the water holding capacity of a sponge that's like 3 feet thick. So when it comes to my old concern of drainage tile drying out the soil too much, we can use the sponge as our example. The drainage tile cannot pull the capillary action water out of the soil. So right now, the water that is inside of the sponge, or the water that's inside of the soil, that won't get pulled down. The only thing that gets pulled down into the drainage tile is all of the excess water. And then when it comes to flooding, since our soil or our sponge still has some water holding capacity to it because it's not completely saturated because the drainage tile has taken away all of the excess water, when we get a really nice rain on it, it simply just gets soaked into the sponge, it gets soaked into the soil, and it doesn't run off of the surface. Well, the drainage tile is working right there.
but it doesn't run off of the surface and then get taken downstream. So actually we're able to soak up some of the water from rains in the soil, so it actually helps to reduce flooding. On top of less flooding and less runoff, we also get less erosion, and then when we have soils that are not completely saturated, they are a lot less likely to compact, so we also get less compaction. And then on top of those things, we also now have a more consistent environment to raise our crops in. We're able to get into the fields earlier because now we don't have to worry about a super saturated soil in the springtime, and when we don't have saturated soils, they also warm up quicker, and when we can get into the field earlier around here, we tend to get better crops. And then when it comes to harvest time, if we get a bunch of rains during harvest, we're still able to get in with our combines without mudding everything up in the fields and getting things stuck, so we can also get a more timely harvest. And so all of these things really compile together to saving us money as well as making us money. The system that we are installing today is a pattern tile system, meaning we have a systematic pattern throughout the entire field. Our fields at the moment have what's called spot tiling. So let's say this is the shape of the field, and we know there's a wet spot right here. What they did way back in the day is, let's say we got the stream down here, they maybe came in and ran a single tile line right to that wet spot to dry it up. So we have spot tile like this throughout our farm, but we do not have the pattern tile like what we are doing right now. Pretty much all of our farms have some spot tile in some way, shape, or form. Some farms may have 1 run, some may have 11. But these spot tile areas that we have are actually the reason why we are pushing to pattern tile all of our fields. Because when I come through with the combine and I look at the yield monitor, I can actually identify where these spot tile areas are. And what I saw this year was super impressive. The areas where we had the spot tile on the low end, I saw a 45 bushel per acre advantage. And on the high end, I saw 75 bushels per acre advantage. If we get this for 3 years in a row, it will pay for our entire pattern tile system. This is a map off of our yield monitor, and you can see exactly where the tile lines are located on this field. All of the areas that have this dark green stripe, that is where we have a string of tile. These are actually the valleys of this field, which would actually be the wettest part, so that is why they would have tiled them back in the day. But on here, it is incredibly obvious. This red streak that goes right here, this is actually the top of a hill. So you'd think that would be the driest, but as we can see, just getting that water away, it makes a huge difference. Now, as much as we all like pictures, we actually want to see some data. So this is what the field averaged. By the way, the yield monitor was not calibrated correctly. Here it's off by about 20 bushels, so this is reading a little low. But when we zoom in to an area that had spot tile, check this out. It did 267 right there, which is 67 bushels per acre better than what the field averaged. With the first main line being pulled in, we are now ready to start digging the outlet for the second one. Well, the new outlet is being dug. The one that we just did is being backfilled. So Cooper and Ryan are doing, what would you call this method, Ryan?
Bedding and blinding.
Bedding and blinding. Cooper's tamping with his feet, and Ryan's doing the easy job. The second main line that we are pulling in along this waterway, this one's only purpose is actually for the neighbor. If the neighbor above us ever wants to tile, they can tie right into this one. So we're just being nice neighbors right now and pre-putting this in for them, so then they just have to hook up to it at the fence line. All of these lateral scribe lines run downhill, so they actually won't go into this. So this is completely for the neighbors right here. That one over there picks up some of our lateral lines, but probably from my mirror forward, that's all for the neighbors. We just got done surveying another main, and we are going to continue pulling in some more 8-inch. Oh boy, this should be exciting. My dad has never tiled before, or at least not since he was like 5, and that's when it was the not fun way. So this will be interesting to see.
It's been many moons, years since we've done any tiling. That was me and my dad when I was little, and I always got to be the one that got to go down in the mud hole, and
Not fun part.
I didn't like it.
We're currently going 1 mile per hour at 1,300 RPMs with 27% engine load. I got my dad all microphoned up, and then unfortunately the microphone died, and so I did not get his full initial reaction, but he was pretty impressed with how things were going. We're now in the shop because it's dark outside, and there's actually a freeze warning tonight, so it's supposed to get pretty chilly. We're planning on getting started as soon as the sun comes up, so this is going to be our game plan for tomorrow. The field that we are in looks something like this. The orange lines are the mains that we pulled today, and then the green is a waterway that we pulled beside. So what we're trying to do is do the field in sections. We have one more main line to pull right here along the creek that will take us somewhere up in here. And then once we get that pulled, we're gonna switch boots, and then we're gonna put the 4-inch boot on, and we're gonna start pulling laterals off of all of these main lines that we already have installed. So that way we can start at the back of the field and work our way to the front. And the reason why we are doing this is because right now we just have our main lines in. If we get rained out or froze out, we only have the mains in and we don't have any of the laterals. So what we're gonna try to do is do the field in sections as we go, so we will get it 100% completed. So that way, if we get to here with all of our laterals and then we get rained out, then we just have this part of the field that has nothing done to it. We don't have to then come back the next year and try to find where our mains are. So I don't know what the best way of really going about it is. I'm kind of in the mindset right now of, hey, we already have the 8-inch boot on. Let's just put in the rest of the 8-inch mains while we're at it. But you never know what the weather's gonna do too, especially this time of year. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna pull one more 8, and then we're gonna start running some laterals. It is officially cold now. I have the yellow whatever glove these are, the handy Andes. You know it's cold when these things come out. These would be what my dad and grandpa would wear every day when I was a little boy during the winter time, back before we had heated shops to work on our equipment. They'd be inside the big machine shed when it was 8 degrees out, and they'd be working on tractors, and they would have these on. And I did not understand how their hands never got cold. Now that I'm older, looky here. Look what I'm wearing when it's cold. All right, Ryan and Mike, before I get started, can you guys introduce yourselves quick, please?
I'm Ryan with Soil Max, product specialist. Go around doing field starts on tile plows, trainings, demos, trade shows, everything. Love being out in the field with customers, helping them learn how to tile and answering any questions they have and just making sure they're really comfortable with the product.
So in other words, Ryan has forgotten more about tile in the last day than I've learned in a day.
Well, I don't know about that. I'm still learning stuff every time I go out, so.
How's it going? My name is Mike McGowan with Soil Max. I do inside sales. I help out with marketing. I do a lot of the travel to the trade shows and come out, do field setups with Ryan whenever possible and try and take care of our customers.
Fun fact, Mike is also from Florida, but I am convinced that his family heritage is actually from somewhere north of Canada because the cold doesn't seem to bother him. Before we get started pulling in some laterals, we're gonna fire up the mini excavator and we're gonna do our first start hole for a lateral run, so that way we can learn how to properly do it.
Yeah, so we've got a little bit of the pipe, or a little bit of the hole opened up here, and to make sure we don't hit it, we got our trusty tile probe. We're just gonna push it down until we feel the pipe, pull it out, let him know how much farther he's gotta go to dig the rest of it.
Since that main line is gotta have it green, we should get some really nice contrast between this dark soil and the line once we get it exposed. So it should be easy to see, hopefully.
Usually that's what
That'll give me time to walk over there.
We just ran our first survey for the morning. We got a 1,200 foot 8-inch main that we're going to be pulling in. And this is going to be the last of the 8-inch mains we're going to be putting in today. And then we're going to be flipping the 8-inch boot off. And we're going to put on the 4-inch one, and we're going to start pulling some laterals. I think we're just about ready to get started here. They're getting the main line drug out in front of me a little ways. We just pulled a main right here on the left side, so we're going to be going between that main and the outlet. I'm just going to try to border right along the edge of this little grass strip. While we've been getting all the surveying done for this 8-inch main line, Zach has continued to dig start holes. I think he's done about 8 of them now. We're gonna have to do probably about 40 of them today in order to get this 30 acres to our left completely tiled. So Zach's gonna keep running in the mini excavator, getting start holes dug. We're gonna get this thing plowed in, and then we'll get stuff flipped over, and we're probably just gonna have Zach stay in the mini excavator and keep digging. It's extremely satisfying watching this tile be plowed into the ground. It's just making a big old rip in the soil. It's kind of fun to watch. Just pulling in the last bit of tile right here. We're through the boot. We need to drive 10 more feet. Once Cooper gives us the mark, we will be able to lift the plow out of the ground. Okay, we can hit stop, and then we're just gonna hold this button, and then the plow will slowly start to lift its way up out of the ground. Pretty remarkable how simple this is. Just for a perspective on how big of a trench this 8-inch boot makes, I am 6'10", 260 pounds. I mean, 5'10", 160 pounds on a good day. And this is the blowout compared to me. Now that we're done with the mains, we're gonna pull off this toe. Look how nice and shiny that is. We're gonna put the 4-inch one on. We need to pull off these side panels, and then we're gonna pull off the 8-inch boot and put the 4-inch one on. And before we can start pulling any of these things out, we need to come in here and get all of this dirt off. And oh my goodness, look how beautiful that stuff is. Wow.
All the way.
The guide. We're now flopped over to the 4-inch, and look how much different these things are. This is the 8, that thing is absolutely huge, and the 4 makes the tile plow look sort of tiny. When they invented this cup holder spot, what were they thinking? That's the tiniest, what?
All right, Cole's got the pipe pulled in. Now we got to hook up our tap T here. So we got our pipe right here. We're just digging down just about halfway point here. Our main is a foot deeper than what it really needs to be, so our laterals are higher. So we're just kind of making a nice little grade here to the center. Get our dirt out of the way. Take our hole saw bit. You want to drill it at the angle that you want to put the T in, because however, you know, if you have it on here and even have it like this, that's how the T will go in. So we want to get it nice and lined up. Take our tap T here and just clear this loose dirt. And then it says top, there's bottom. But as long as you have it, these tabs on the top or bottom, it doesn't matter, because it kind of matches the curvature of the pipe. I don't know if you can tell that. So kind of just push your bottom in, push these tabs down on the top. Make sure it's in. Give it a test pull, make sure it won't come out. So if you pull the pipe forward, you'll take all your axis out, but you want a little bit of length, so you just push it back a little bit. Pinch it with your legs, take your knife, kind of line it up with the back here. Cut it.
pop it in. All right, so now that we got our tap T connected here, we just kind of want to stand on it. Kind of push a little bit forward when you're doing it. Stand on it here, take some loose soil, throw it over the top. Make sure we don't have any big clumps that are on top of the pipe. That way we don't have a failure. We'll just pack this down a little bit with our feet. So now that we got this side packed down, we'll go to this end. We'll just start bringing dirt down, covering it.
Holy cow, I tell you what, Zach is not messing around. He's got some holes dug. The technology that goes on inside of this AgLeader Go 16 is absolutely incredible, because all the computer stuff in here is talking to the GPS globe that's on the tile plow, which is talking to the base station on the tripod. And this thing is doing all of the work for us. It's doing all of the auto grade, so it's following this grade line right here. So I'm in auto steer right now. I am doing absolutely nothing other than basically just making sure if something goes wrong, I stop. Otherwise, it's tracking distance, it's tracking the rise, the depth of what we're putting in, elevation. I also have parameters set for the depth, so that way we can't go too deep or too shallow. I'm cruising along right now at about 1.4 miles an hour. And this is a pretty comfortable speed for me right now since I'm learning, but this is remarkably simple. But to be fair, right now conditions are about as perfect as tiling gets. It's about 50 degrees and the ground is dry. So we have a lot of traction and things are pulling easy and things are digging easy. We're now starting to get to the end of our run. Cooper already has the spool down here and he already has it cut and capped. So all we need to do is just keep driving through and we'll just pull that tile through, and once it's through, then we'll be done with the run. Every time I go to take off with the truck, we have to hold the pipe down so that way we don't accidentally yank it out of the tile plow. The last thing we want to do is kick our pipe. We just got done laying our first maxi roll of 4-inch, which is about 3,600 feet, or approximately 3 acres worth of tile. So we have the tile carts up here now. We're gonna load up each of them with an additional roll, and that should give us about another 7 acres or so worth of 4-inch tile. These tile carts are pretty cool because they just tip down with a hydraulic electric pump jack thingy, whatever you want to call it. Once this spear is parallel to the ground, then we're just gonna back it up into the maxi roll. It goes right inside of this hole, and then you're able to lift it up with the hydraulic cylinders, and then it's up on the tile cart, and you drive it out to the tile plow. The charging cable going from the truck to the tile cart must not be working. We think it's something on our truck, so the battery has died on the tile cart, so we don't have enough juice to be able to get it flipped back up. It's a good thing we got jumper cables in the other truck. Zach just got done digging start holes on one of the mains. He had 26 of them on this main. I don't know how full the mini excavator was on diesel when we started this project, but they just had to fill the tank. I think he's dug between outlets and start holes, probably about 35 holes up to this point. So we're starting off with knowing for sure we can dig 35 holes on one tank of diesel, which if that's the case, there are supposed to be 142 connections between mains and laterals on this farm. So we will end up needing to fill the mini excavator with diesel 4 times. Probably my favorite part about this entire setup is how fail-proof it is. I just got done pulling a run, so we're gonna pull a new one, but before we pull the new run, we have to survey it. So I'm gonna go right here, I'm just gonna click mode, and then we're gonna go into survey mode. Now that we're in survey mode, I just need to find the scribe line that I want to line up to. So we're gonna go to the one that's right next to the one that I just pulled. So we're gonna get lined up to that one, and once we get lined up to it, then we are going to click our auto steer. We're now lining up to the scribe line we want to be on. We're gonna hit our auto steer button. We are now in auto steer, so we are going to drive this path all the way to the outlet. Now as we cross this line right here, we are going to hit start on our survey. I need to wait for my wheels to cross. Okay, wheels just crossed. Now we're gonna hit start. Now this is going to map the entire route that we are driving. So it tells us how long the run is, the rise, the elevation, and then our grade. And then you can actually visualize the grade over here. So we're gonna drive this. We got about 500 feet more to go. And once we get to the start hole, then we will pause. We're now approaching the start hole. So once my engine gets over the top of the start hole, we will stop about right here. And as we stop, we will hit stop on the screen. We will end our survey. And then now we go into mode, and then we go into install mode, and then we pick the run that we just did, which was 689 feet long. And then now we can look at our run, and we can see if it works or not. It would give us a little red thing right here at the tip of my finger that said it wouldn't work. So this one works. We have everything set. We're gonna be running 29 inches at a minimum depth, a maximum of 48. We're gonna be shooting for 36, and we want at least 0.1% slope. So there we go. We will hit the blue arrow over here. We are running a 4-inch tile. It's a lateral. We have the run named. Check. There we go. Now, all we gotta do is get this plow turned around, and we gotta back this thing up and drop it into the start hole. We're now backed up to the start hole. We are dropped in. We're gonna start from right to left. We have our float on. We wanna turn our feeder on, and then I'm going to make sure I'm in drive. I am in first gear right there, and then we are going to hit start. And so now we are going to let off the clutch with our left foot, nice and slowly. Okay, we are pulling tile, and then I'm gonna come over here, hit my auto steer, and Cooper is gonna drive beside me, pulling out the tile, and that's pretty much all it is. We are now laying tile. Last little bit's the hardest part to get off the spool. When I get this one pulled off, this will be our second maxi 4-inch that we've done today. Boom shakalaka. That one is empty. We've been going back and forth for a couple hours now, and these are all of the runs that we've got done. I think we've got 16 runs pulled in, if I'm not mistaken, and we just got flopped over to a new 4-inch maxi roll. Since we started this tiling project, my dad has been working on some off-farm jobs. He is now back, and Cooper is training him how to be the hole guy. That sun is in a really bad spot right now, right in the old eyeballs. The sun has officially gone down, and the lights are on. We can actually see really well, at least from the tractor. But I think this is going to be our last pull for the night. Tractor lights in the front are all right, but when you get to the back of the machine, boom, it really lights it up. This is our super fancy aerial picture of what we got done today. So Zach started digging all of these start holes. That's the black dots. And then while he was doing that, we were dragging in this last 8-inch main. Once we got that done, we swapped over the boot to the 4-inch, and then we started putting in the blue laterals. So these are all of the 4-inchers. We got 21 of these put in, I believe. So we got to about here. We got just a few more on this. We did notice that this main that we pulled yesterday actually was running water today. So tomorrow we're going to start digging start holes along this main, and we're going to dig start holes along this main, and we're going to get these ones pulled in up here. We're going to get these that go straight up and down pulled in here. We'll get these ones pulled in here, and then we will have this 30 done. And then we're going to start pulling the nice, fun, really long ones over here. Up to this point, I'm going to say we've done about 20 acres with the tile plow. And for the entire time that we've been tiling, the plow has only been in the ground actually putting in tile for an hour and 38 minutes. And during those hour and 38 minutes of actual time in the ground, we have already saved approximately $14,000 by having our own tile plow. By the time we get done with this 110 acre field, the savings of having our own tile plow will actually pay for the entire tile plow, plus both of our tile carts, plus all of the base station GPS stuff involved, just off of this one 110 acre field. We ended up getting down to 29 degrees last night, so we had our first frost of the season. It looks like everybody's getting started this morning doing their jobs. My dad is filling in start holes. My brother Cooper has been running around getting stuff lined up for the maxi rolls. And then Zach is actually at the back of the field behind the tile plow up there on the hill using the mini excavator. He's digging start holes on the other end. If we have a nice running day today, we should be able to hit our 30 acre goal, which I actually think is a little bit closer to 40. Filling in start holes. Navigating through the fields with all of these tile trenches in place is sort of difficult. You can sneak through them with a Ranger or a pickup truck, but they are incredibly rough, so you try not to cross them if you don't have to. And since we have them every 40 feet, every which direction in the field, it makes navigating through the field kind of like going through a maze. We'll sneak around to the back side, check our oil quick, and once we get that done, we'll do a cold start on this thing. I don't think the dipstick's on this side. It must be on this side. I've honestly never checked the oil in this tractor before. Oh geez, yep, that's a weird dipstick. Very weird dipstick. I love it when they have a massive 15-liter engine in the tractor and then the dipstick has a whole half of an inch of space between full and empty. Yeah, we're good. As much as I like this tractor, I am gonna have one complaint. This door is not in a very good spot relative to the ladder. When you're standing on the ladder like this, you open the door will bonk you in the side of the head. So you gotta lean way back like that. And then if you're trying to shut it while you're on the ladder and it's windy, you have very little leverage to be able to get that thing swung around. So that's my biggest complaint with this tractor is the door. Oh, like nothing. While we let the Challenger warm up, we need to get the base station hooked up so that way that can be connecting up to the satellites. I've honestly never hooked this thing up before, so I'm in for a little bit of a learning experience. I must just sit up here. Like so. Looks like that just screws on right here. Wow, that's actually pretty simple. Get her down to 900 foot-pounds of torque here with my fingers. That looks good. Before we started pulling some more pipe this morning, we're gonna take a few minutes to make some connections in our start holes, and then we're gonna backfill these so that way we don't have like 30 holes just sitting open in the field waiting for somebody to fall into. Found an old tile that was already here. This is a plastic one, so it must have been installed probably within the last 20 years or so. There's nothing plugging up the inside of it. It's a little crushed because we dug through it with the excavator right here in the start hole. You can see the other side right there. It's pretty interesting. And as you can see by looking inside of there, it is not plugged up with silt or sediment. So the water's able to get in, but the dirt is too sticky or too big to be able to fit through the little slots and get inside. Out of everything that we've done, out of all of this tiling so far, putting the initial dirt around the tile in the start hole is definitely my least favorite part so far. It takes about 12 minutes when you do it by yourself, and for whatever reason, when you have two people, you can do it in 2 minutes. So I think we've officially named this a two-guy job. Oh geez, who parked the tractor so far away? Oh, good form, Zach, good form. Whew. Jump down in here. Okay, auto steer is on. Pulling in, tile plowing. Pulling in, tile, getting a lot done. Reading the test motor up the field. Oh, Zach just made a rookie mistake. He forgot to feed the tile through that circle, so he has to walk beside me to hold it up to make sure that it doesn't come out of the power feeder. Since Zach is now about 20 start holes ahead of us with the mini excavator, for the next several hours, I should be in the clear to just go back and forth with laying pipe in the ground. Chugga-lugga-luggin', 1.5 miles per hour. Oh, Zach did it again. He forgot to put the tile through that little support hole. So now he has to walk. We need to come up with a name for this walk. We're gonna call it the Zach walk right now. It's now been a couple hours and we've been going back and forth laying pipe the entire time. I believe we have gone through 2 maxi rolls. Zach has a new one on him right now that he's laying out. We are on 900-foot long runs and we are going 1.5 miles per hour. So it takes a little while to get to the top, but they are nice long cruises. So we are getting a lot done. We have over there yet to do, well, from here to that dirt pile. And then once we get that done, we will be done with this back 30-acre piece. We just about got this 30-acre piece done, but it's dark. Whoa, what's going on with Cooper's headliner in here?
We're out here doing tiling. It's getting dark, and when it gets dark quick. So I guess we're gonna bring all the stuff in. Speaking of dark, it is dropping temperatures. Supposed to get down to 38 degrees tonight, which is a little chilly in my bones when I'm not dressed for it. So got a lot done today. Just thought I'd put my 2 cents in. Things are actually going way easier than I thought. I thought this pulling a tile plow and stuff, I just had some bad feelings. But right now it's going really good, and I hope it keeps going good like this. It's a good feeling for somebody like me that was dragging my feet and thought the tractor would be bouncing all over the place and wouldn't be able to pull it. So, hey, enough hearing me jabber, jabber, jabber. Talk to you guys a little later. I just wanted to say hi.
All right, today is the day we are going to get this 30-acre piece done. The 30 acres technically starts right there on that corner and goes left all the way over to that fence line we have from the tractor, which is located right there. We have 5 runs left to pull over to that waterway, and then we have 2 right up there at the top, all the way by the dually on the tile cart.
I think this is day number 311 of getting this 30-acre piece tiled. We're gonna get equipment warmed up. Then we're gonna jump down into start holes. We're gonna get connections done. We're gonna do a little bit of backfilling with shovels, and then we'll be able to use the skid loader to do the rest. And then we're gonna try to get those other 7 runs pulled. Before I jump down into the holes, I found a couple start holes. Holy cow, that was a big bump. I found a couple start holes that did not get backfilled in for some reason with the skid loader. So while I am over here, I'm going to get these taken care of quick. Here is hole number 1. I'm gonna try to be very careful not to gouge into the ground. We're just going to push the dirt that we dug out back in. Backfilling with the shovels may be my least favorite part about tiling so far, but backfilling with the skid loader is actually pretty fun. Before we get started pulling the remainder of the pipe, we have about 20 connections that we need to get made. And I got over here to where we're starting the connections. The hole saw is not here, and neither are the shovels or the probe. And my brother's not answering his phone, so we might be waiting a little bit to see where those are. While waiting for my brother, I might as well get the Challenger fired up and warmed up. And if we haven't heard anything from him after we get that done, we might just start pulling the remainder of the pipe. We'll get the base station fired up too while we're at it. It looks like, there's Cooper, he's in his Ranger. Set it on here. Screw the antenna on. We're going to be taking on some new roles on the tiling stuff today. Cooper has 20 hay bales to go make for a neighbor, so while he is making those, Dad and I are going to get started pulling in the rest of this pipe. And I've pretty much just been the tractor guy, and Dad's been the floater guy. And so we're gonna be the in-the-hole guy and the cart stringer guy today, or we're gonna learn how to do it. Ryan and Mike did a really good job of instructing us on how to do everything, and they showed us how to do everything, but there's a big difference between being shown how to do something and have the shown level of understanding versus the you're actually applying it by yourself without help. And that's what we're gonna be doing right now. I'm gonna start by getting the plow backed into the hole and set down. We just got connected up to a new maxi, so we should now have enough tile on that maxi to be able to finish up the last of these runs. There's our new splice. We got her all taped up nicely. First complaint with the mini excavator. This thing goes a whole 1.8 miles per hour. So when you have it parked all the way over there on the other end of the field and you want to bring it over here, it takes like 20 minutes to get here. Drum roll, please. This is our last run for the 30 acres, and then we will be done pulling pipe on this little part. This is the actual professional layout of how the tile is going to go in this field, and we now have everything above my hand completely laid in. So now we're gonna have to start working on that side. Look at this, got a little bit of water on this one, and if you look inside, there is a lot of water running through the bottom. That's pretty cool. It's been about 8 hours of backfilling these bad boys by hand. We just got the last one done. Dad, how do you feel?
It takes more out of you than I think it does.
Next up, we need to take all of the holes that we just bedded the pipe on and take all this dirt and fill them in. Hello, 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 mini excavator. Dad, I thought we were done.
I was hoping we were. Kind of one of them jobs after so long, you're just like, ugh.
Yeah, unfortunately, we found 4 more that we need to connect a 4-inch
4?
to a 4-inch.
No, 3.
1, 2, 3. You might be right. 3. Last one. We developed a new method using the mini excavator, and this works so much better. We ended up getting done just in time. We got some rain, and if you actually look closely, it is starting to snow. And I also have a little bit of a surprise. Not only did we get that 30-acre part completely done, but we also got more done over there. Not only did we get a ton of stuff done today, but check this out. We ended up installing about 50 acres of tile, and if we hired a contractor, it would have cost about $50,000. So we saved $50,000 just on that first 50 acres. We paid $46,000 for our plow. So technically speaking, we have already paid for our plow in savings on 50 acres. And we have 1,950 to go. All right, guys, I think that is enough for today. I am tired, so I'm going to go rest. This is all I got for today. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one.